Personally, I do not want to spend my own money or my clients' money on Facebook ads unless I know for a fact it's going to generate a profit. But in today's world, that's getting increasingly more difficult. Over the last few years, it's been harder and harder to get profitable results with ads on Facebook. And if you want to stand out in today's attention economy, it's getting increasingly more difficult as well. But in this video, I'm going to show you a strategy that I have developed. So I had to make sure that I had something, a way that I can avoid Facebook spending my money if it's not generating me or my clients a profit. So in this video, I'm going to show you the profit pull strategy. So this is basically a strategy that I use to essentially force Facebook to spend my money profitably. And with the profit pull strategy, we've been able to generate amazing results for our clients. As you can see here, for this client, we generated more than 5,000 profitable leads in a bit more than 7 months with this campaign. And as you can see in this campaign right here, we actually made over 2,400 sales in less than 8 months with this campaign. So this strategy works for both leads and sales campaigns. And essentially in this video, I'll give you all the secrets, all the details of how I use this strategy so you can implement it and hopefully use it yourself to make sure you only have profitable results from now on. So to start off, I'll just give you the recipe and then I'll show you how to set everything up. So the profit pull strategy is set up of two main ideas. So number one is using cost control bid strategies. If you're not sure what a bid strategy is, I'll get back to explaining that. The second part of the profit pull strategy is using automatic scaling rules. So if you're not familiar with setting up automatic rules in your Facebook ads account, I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you every step. So if this seems a bit overwhelming, even if you're a beginner, I'll show you every step of how you can set this up. So don't worry, stick around to the end, and I promise you that you will be able to use this strategy for your business. So what is a bid strategy? So your bid strategy is essentially the choice that tells Meta how to bid for you in the auction. So every time you start a new Facebook ad campaign, you essentially get pushed into a lot of different auctions, and if you win, your ads will be placed. And there's a few factors that determine if you win the auction, but the most important one is essentially how much you're willing to pay to get your ads placed in front of people. So there are a few different bid strategies that you can choose from. And if you run Facebook ads in the past, you already used some of them. And most likely what you have been using is the default one. So that would be the spend-based bidding. So it would either be the highest volume or highest value bid strategy. Now for most people, it's more likely that by default you've been using highest volume. And what this means is once you launch the campaign with the highest volume bid strategy, you essentially tell Facebook, hey, this is my daily budget. Make sure you spend as much as you can and just give me as many conversions or results as you possibly can with this money. So you essentially give Facebook allowance to just spend your budget regardless of how profitable it is and regardless if you're even getting any results. So Facebook will just focus on spending your money and not actually getting you profit. Okay, so the same goes for highest value. It's the same thing with this highest value bid strategy. You essentially tell Facebook, hey, spend all of my money and get me the most amount of money back. But it doesn't really matter if it's able to get you money back. It just focus on spending your money. There is some benefits of these strategies if you don't have a lot of data in your ad account and you want to test out something new, you want to launch a new product. If you don't have any historic data, you essentially will just want to invest in data. So you just want to spend your budget and get as much feedback, traffic, people onto your website, people onto your landing page as possible. So in that case, well, there is benefits of using it, but most likely you're going to be a bit like me. You want to focus on profit. That's what you actually care about. You want to make sure you always stay profitable. So if you're like me, then what you would want to use is either goal-based bidding or manual bidding. So with goal-based bidding, this is previously referred to as cost caps. You can either use the cost per result goal bid strategy or you can use the ROAS goal bid strategy. So it's essentially the same thing here. Either you set a certain amount, a set amount, so let's say you want to bid $10 per sale. That's the max you're willing to pay to get a sale. Okay, then with the cost per result goal, you're going to set the goal at $10. Now, if you have multiple different products and different price points, but you know that you have a certain break-even ROAS, so you need to generate a certain amount of money back per unit of money spent on ads. So essentially, put it simply, if you know that you have to generate $2 back per dollar spent on ads, then your ROAS goal would essentially be 2. So these two bid strategies are similar, but I would say cost per result goal is better if you're just having one or a few products with similar price points and you know the set amount you're willing to pay per conversion. But if the amount is different, but the ratio between how much you want to spend and generate back, then you want to use a ROAS goal. With bid cap, it's a bit different. You're actually setting a cap on how much you're willing to bid to get your ads placed in front of people. So you're one step ahead. With the cost per result goal or the ROAS goal, you will essentially be above and below your goal on different days. So it's not always going to be at your goal. Some days, even if you set a $10 amount as your goal, some days you might be up at 15 or 12, whatever, could be a lot higher than that as well. But over time, as you run the campaign, Facebook will try to get you closer to your goal on average. So you can't really look at the day-to-day with the ROAS and the cost per result goal because it's fluctuating a lot, and Facebook needs a lot of time to get you closer to your goal, because on the good days it wants to average out and make up for the bad days when it's been above, spending more than what you set your goal as. But on the other hand, with the bid cap, the algorithm uses predictive modeling to enter into auctions where it's likely you'll actually get a result at your set bid. So this might sound a bit technical, but essentially what it does, Facebook looks at a potential bid auction where it looks at the people that you will potentially show your ads to if you win the auction. And it sees how likely it is that if your ads are being shown, how likely it is that that will actually turn into a result, a sale or a conversion. Now, if it's not likely that you will be able to get that result at your set bid, your ads will not even get into the auction. So you won't even spend any money in the first place. But as you can understand, with this predictive modeling, you need a lot of historic data in order for Facebook to make these predictions. So we have clients where we use BidCap, but with those clients, we have a lot of data. We have campaigns that have been running for a long time, and we didn't start off with BidCap. We usually start off with highest volume, and then we switch over to BidCap once we had enough momentum, enough data, and we can see that Facebook will be able to make good predictions. So for most of our clients, we start with cost per result goal or the ROAS goal as the bid strategy. And I would recommend to start off with this as well, unless you are familiar with different bid strategies and you are familiar with BidCap and how it works. You can obviously experiment with this and you can try out different bid strategies and see what works for you. But as I said, BidCap is really hard to get to work. It is amazing once you get it to work, but it requires a lot of data. But if you are able to get it to work, you're very likely to always stay profitable because you're not even going to enter into bids where you're not going to get a conversion at your set cap. Now, as you know which bid strategy to choose, you need to be aware of this one common fallacy for advertisers. So one misbelief that I see a lot of advertisers have that end up ruining the results. And that is that since you're spending a consistent daily budget, once you set up a campaign, you will set a budget that you're willing to spend every day. Now, because you're spending, or because you're essentially telling Facebook to spend the same amount every day, you also expect the same amount of results every day. So you're looking at Facebook ads on a daily basis. You're looking at the results on a daily basis. But that's highly likely not going to be the case. In the real world, things aren't really rational and predictable. It's going to jump up and down every day, even if you spend the same amount of money every day. So as you can see, as an example here for one of our clients, you can see how much it jumps up and down every day in terms of how many leads we're actually generating. And mind you that we have the same budget every day, but you can see that the results are jumping up and down all over the place. Some days we have really good days, and other days we have really bad days. So Why this happens, there's a bunch of external factors, obviously. Your target audience will respond to your ads differently depending on what day of the week it is. Weather and time of year is going to affect the results. There's so many things that go into affecting your results. I'm not going to get into that, but as you can see in the real world, the results are not consistent and predictable. So because the demand and the results fluctuate, we want to make sure we avoid losing potential demand capture on the good days due to having a limited daily budget. So on some days, there's going to be more demand for what you're offering, so your product or service. But if you don't have a high enough daily budget to allow Facebook to spend all the money that they need to capture all of that demand, then essentially you're going to lose out on some potential demand capture or some potential results. So you need to have a high daily budget available in order to take advantage of the good days when you see those spikes. Okay? And also you need to avoid a lot of the potential downside by spending a lot of money on the bad days. So this is why we use the cost per result goal or the ROAS goal bid strategy or even bid cap. Because once you set those bid strategies, spend, even though you have the same daily budget, the spend is going to fluctuate depending on how many results or how few results Facebook are able to get on that day. So it's going to try to get you towards your goal and stay within your cap. So when there's high demand, you want to have high spend, and when there's low demand, you want to have low spend, and that's why we use these bid strategies. But having a high spend on the good days means you need to have a high daily budget. But increasing the daily budget too quickly can definitely hurt your performance, and it's quite risky. Now, the reason why it's risky is because your campaign itself is doing some of the demand creation. So as you start spending money on your campaign, you actually create some of the future demand that you will be able to capture. So as you start the campaign, people will see your offer through your ads. But after they see your offer, there's always going to be a certain amount of delay before they're actually ready to buy whatever you're selling. And this is different for every business. The delay might be a few days, a few weeks, a few months, if even a few years. Totally depends on what you're selling. But what you need to know is there's always going to be a delay between when people first see your ads and when they actually go ahead and buy what you're selling. So as you can see, if we're increasing the budget too quickly, we will spend a lot of money on the ads and we will potentially create a lot of demand, but there is going to take some time before that demand actually turns into sales. But we don't know yet if that created demand is actually going to turn into sales. So in that period, during the delay, if you're spending a lot of money on the campaign, what might end up happening is a lot of it is not turning into sales. So only a tiny percentage of that created demand is actually turning into sales because your ads are not good enough, or the audience that you're targeting is not warmed up enough or big enough and with enough interested people to the point where you can actually go ahead and capture all that demand in the future. So if you increase the budget too quickly, you might spend a lot of money over a few days or a few weeks, and then over time you actually see that it's not turning into results. So that's why it's risky to turn it up too quickly, because you're going to spend more without knowing if it's going to turn into sales. So this is where the next part of the profit pool strategy comes in. We want to use the automatic scaling rule to make sure that we turn up the budget slowly and we build up the demand and we see that the demand is actually being captured before we increase it again. So as you can see here, the campaign is being started, more people see your offer, there's some delay between the demand creation and the demand capture, it turns into more sales. As you're getting more sales and the demand creation and the capture links together, that's when the results are getting better, and that's when the scaling rule is activated. So I'll show you how to set this up in a second, but because we're setting in some specific conditions into the scaling rule, we only increase the budget when we are at a certain cost per result or certain ROAS. But we're also using a scaling rule to turn down the budget if we are not hitting our goal, and if our cost per result is too expensive or our ROAS is too low, then we want to scale down back to a level where the results are profitable again. So we're also using the automatic scaling rule to stay at a level of spend that makes sure that we get profit and we're not wasting money. So as I said, the campaign itself does create some of the demand, but there's also a lot of external factors that create fluctuations in the demand. So a quick example of this would be, let's say you're selling home workout equipment and then COVID hits and nobody can go to the gym anymore. Well, then over time your demand quickly is going to rise. So if there's some external factors that play into increasing the demand for whatever you're selling, then we also make sure that the automatic scaling rule has the potential to quickly increase your budget so that you can capture this demand that's been created in the market. So I'm now inside one example ad account and I'll show you how to set up the different bid strategies. So first I'm going to select sales, then in this case I'm going to use a manual sales campaign. You can also now use ROAS goal with Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. So I've already made a video about that, so you can click right here and watch that video. For this example, I'm just going to use a manual sales campaign. I'm going to click continue. Then the next thing you want to do is go into your ad set, scroll down under conversion, make sure you select website. Then you're either going to select maximum number of conversions or maximum value of conversions. So if you want to use the ROAS goal, so for example, if you're an e-commerce business, you have multiple different products, they're all at different price points, but you know what your break-even ROAS is, then you will use maximize value of conversions, and then you will set a ROAS goal. If you just sell one product and you just have one offer and you know exactly the max amount you're willing to bid per sale of that product, then you're going to select maximize number of conversions, and then you're going to set the amount you're willing to pay per conversion here. Now if you want to use bid cap, you want to come back to the campaign, you want to scroll all the way down, and then you want to tick on Advantage campaign budget. So you want to make sure this one is on. Okay, so now it's on. Then what you want to do is under the campaign bid strategy, you want to select other options, and then you will see bid cap here. Okay, so now you have the bid cap set. So now you need to go into the ad set and select the bid control or the bid cap, what the amount is going to be. So let's say I want to do 100 kroners per conversion because I'm using an example Norwegian ad account. I will put that in here. And now I'm using a bid cap. So that's how you would set that up. So now I'm going to show you how you can set up an automatic scaling rule, both for scaling up and down. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and select the campaign you want to apply this rule to. Then you want to click rules and create a new rule. Now you're going to select custom rule, click next. You're going to give the rule a name. So I'm not going to name it just yet. First I want to set the conditions, and then I'm going to give a name that reflects the conditions that I put into the rule. You want to apply the rule to the one campaign that you selected. Now the action you want to set is increase daily budget by. Okay. Now the percentage you want to do here, it's totally up to you. This depends on how aggressively you want to scale the campaign. For this example, I'm going to do 3%. Okay, 3%. I'm going to set a maximum daily budget cap, so I don't want to spend more than, let's say, 100,000 Norwegian kroners. And then action frequency, that's okay. Let's put it at default. And now we're going to set up the conditions. So it's important to note here that if you want to use the condition based on what's being tracked with your Facebook pixel, that you do not use the cost per result. What you need to use is meta pixel. You can search it up here. Then you want to go all the way down and select cost per either lead if you want to track leads. In my case, I want to track purchases. So cost per purchase used by the meta pixel. And then you're going to switch over to is smaller than, and then you're going to put in the amount. So in my case, I want to use 100 Norwegian kroners. So one condition to scale by 3% is that the cost per purchase is less than 100 Norwegian kroners in my case. Okay, now you want to select the time range to look at when the rule is looking to apply your scaling. So what you want to do here is either select 2, 3, or 7 days. That's usually what we use. If you look at the last 2 days, the rule is going to be applied more frequently as your results fluctuate. So it's only going to look at the last 2 days. If your campaign was below, in my case, 100 kroners in the last 2 days, if it is, then it's going to scale by 3%. But for some businesses and for some of our clients, we want to make sure that we have results within our limit over a longer time horizon before we start to increase the budget. So you can also use 7 days. This is totally up to you, and this is something you can come back and change if you want to scale quickly up, or you want to scale slower up and quickly down, or the other way around. Now at schedule, you can select continuously. Doesn't really matter. It's only going to be applied every 12 hours anyway. You can also change this one to daily if you want to. It's totally up to you. And once it's been created, now, and once you've selected all the conditions, you want to give the rule a name. Okay, so now I put the name scale by 3% when CPA, or cost per acquisition, you can also write it cost per result, is less than 100 kroners. Okay, so that's what I would put in. If you have different conditions than me, then when you want to put in obviously your conditions. Now once this is set up, you click create, and now it's created. Now on the other side, you want to create the similar rule, but for scaling down once you're not hitting your goal. Okay, so you want to create a new rule. Again, make sure you select the campaign, select custom rule. Now you want to set the action to decrease daily budget by, and then for this example I'll just do 3%, but you don't have to do the same amount, but you don't have to do the same percentage down as you do up. It's up to you if you want to have a similar amount, but if you're starting out, try with the same, because then you're gonna go both up in budget and down in budget at the same tempo, and you can see how that worked for you. And then you can come back and change it if you think it scales too often quickly down or too quickly up. You get my point. Now you want to set a minimum daily budget floor, so you don't want to go less than this daily budget. Now you can set this one really low, it's totally up to you, but I don't want to spend less than, let's say, 1,000 Norwegian kroners. Okay, action frequency, you can set this one to 12 hours or daily. Make sure you set it to the same as you have with the other rule, the upscaling rule. And then you again select metapixel. You search metapixel, you scroll all the way down till you have cost per website conversion, metapixel, and then I'm going to select cost per purchase. Okay, so if cost per purchase is greater than 100 Norwegian kroners, then I want to scale down by 3%. And then time range, I'll do 7 days, same as I did the other rule, but you don't have to do the same one, you can do a different one. I set schedule to continuously, and then I give it a name. So reduce by 3% when CPA is above 100 kroners. Okay, so now the name of the rule makes sense to me. So if I have a lot of different rules in my ad account, it's easy to go in and manage. And then you click create. And that's how you set up the automatic scaling rule. So here's what to expect when you're using the Profit Pulse strategy. So I've been using this strategy for my clients for almost a year now, and I've learned a lot when using this. And it's not just one-time setup and then you're good. It's usually you have to come back to it, fine-tune it, and find the sweet spot and making it work for you. So number one is adjusting the bid to find your sweet spot. So when you're setting the bid, how much you're willing to pay per conversion, or what your ROAS goal is going to be, or your bid cap, you need to make sure that you don't set the bid too conservative. So you want to make sure you set it at the point where Facebook can actually get you results. If you set your bid too low, then Facebook is not going to spend your budget. It might spend some of it, but maybe not enough to the point where you get the desired volume that you want. So you need to find a sweet spot. Where can you set the bid at the level where you get the volume and the profitability that you're happy with? So if you see that you're not getting any spend, what you essentially have to do is either you have to optimize your landing page and your ads and optimize the whole funnel, or you have to increase the bid to the point where you can start to build some momentum. You can get some data into the campaign, and then you can instead turn down the bid over time to see if you can still keep that same spending amount with a lower bid when you have more data and volume. Now, another thing that we have done for our clients sometimes is starting off with highest volume or highest value bid strategy, just to get momentum and get a lot of spend going and get data into the campaign, get engagement on the ads. and get that momentum. And then over time, as we see we're getting more consistent results, then we set on a bid cap or a cost per result goal to make sure that we have predictable and stable results moving forward. So that's one way you can do it. The second thing to expect is that you need to adjust your rules in order to scale at your desired tempo. So that goes both up and down. So if you don't want to scale really quickly up and you don't have the potential to scale quickly, then you want to make sure that you use the scaling rule in a way where you might have a lower percentage and you're looking at a longer time period as the condition before you can actually scale up. And on the other side, if you want to scale down quickly or you want to scale down slower because you want to not go all the way down and spend too quickly, then you can also adjust the period to look at and the percentage you want to scale down with. And the third thing is really important, is to adjust the bid and your role conditions based on over or under reporting of results. So for most advertisers, you're not going to get all of the results tracked if you're using Facebook pixel tracking. And sometimes Facebook even over reports because it's using data modeling to kind of predict how many results you're getting with your campaigns. And sometimes it's under reporting, sometimes it's even over reporting. So look at how many sales you're not getting or how many more you're actually getting credited to the campaign, but you're actually not seeing it in your backend, and adjust the bid and the scaling rule based on this. So as an example, if you're seeing that 20% of your overall sales are not being tracked, then you want to make sure you increase the bid by 20% if you're using the cost per result goal, or if you're using the ROAS goal, you want to make sure that you set the ROAS goal 20% lower because 20% of your sales are not being tracked. On the other side, if 20% more sales than what you're actually getting is being tracked, then you want to adjust it the other way around. So this is essentially what to expect when you're starting to use this strategy. As I said, it's not a one-time fix. You have to go back, adjust it, and fine-tune it over time. But as we've seen for our clients, after doing this for a few months, we started to get the strategy working extremely well for us. And we see that we'll be able to scale and scale profitably amazing with this strategy. So if you found this video valuable and you enjoy watching me sharing the strategies that I use in my agency and for our clients, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see future videos like this. And if you have any questions, any concerns, make sure you add them in the comment section below. Also, right now I'm trying to grow my channel to 1,000 subscribers. We're really close. We're around 800 now. So if you want to be part of the first 1,000 subscribers of this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.